coders, this is Charles Max Wood with another Teach Me to Code. We're going to talk over some Shoulda today. So I'm just going to jump right into it. First off, we're just going to generate a new Rails app. So we're just going to call it Restaurants. And basically what this is just going to be a simple app with restaurants and menus. And a restaurant can have multiple menus, so it's going to be a has many and belongs to relationship. We'll just generate the entire scaffold. So we'll just get our restaurant model in there. It'll have a name. And I think that's all we really need. Oh. Let's try that again. Okay, and then we're just going to have a simple menu in here. Okay, so scaffold menu, and it'll also have a name, and it will belong to a restaurant. And it will have just it'll have a text property. Let's just call it content. And that should be good enough. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to look at the tests, because that's what Shoulda is. Shoulda is actually a wrapper over the top of test unit, which ships with Rails 2. And so we're just going to look at some of the structure and some of the things that you can do with it. So let's just open this up in TextMate, and we will just dig right in here to well, there are a few things we need to do first. The first thing is we need to install the gem. The next thing that we need to do is we actually need to configure the environment to include Shoulda. And that's just a real quick config.gem right here. Shoulda. And the lib is called Shoulda as well. And there we go. So that's all we need there. We're going to set up the database. We're going to actually set it up to use MySQL. Database, restaurants, dev, username, root. I think it does that by default, but I'm just going to set it up anyway. And since Shoulda is involved with the tests, we actually need to set up the test databases as well. So restaurants, test, and oh, Vim instinct's taken over there. Okay. So now that we're there, we need to create the databases. And we'll do it for db create. We'll do it for the test environment as well, since we're going to be using that pretty frequently here. And then rake db migrate. That'll get all of our structure in there. And then we'll do a rake db test clone. And that'll just copy the structure over from our development database to our test database, and that way we can run our tests. So now if we run our tests, they should all pass. It's not really doing anything, but you know, we'll run it just so we can see that everything's passing. So there are the unit tests, and there are the functional tests for the controllers. So now let's go ahead and dig in here. So we've got test. We're going to get into the unit tests, and let's go into the menu test first here. You can see here that this is just a simple test. It's just assert true, which always passes. We're actually going to get into a little bit more depth as far as this goes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to do some general test structure here, okay? So context, which in our spec you have describe. Context is kind of the same thing, except context, from what I can tell, always takes a string. So in this case, we're just going to do validations and structure. And then we will go ahead and set up a test. Now, the nice thing about Shoulda is that it provides you with macros, which are just little methods that test certain functionality for you, and you can get a better feel once I show them to you. For example, the menu should belong to the restaurant. So if we set that up, and then we come over here and we run our tests again, it should pass. And yeah, see, there are no failures. You can see that right here, 0 failures. So far so good, right? So the next thing that we want to do is let's go into our restaurant and validate that it has many menus. So context, same thing, validations and structure do, and should have many menus. Huh, I don't guess I saved that. Yeah, I did. I just put an enter and an extra carriage return in there. So anyway, this should pass as well. And you can see here that it doesn't. So what we can do here is we can actually open up the model, and you can see that it doesn't have the has many relationship in there. So we'll just add it in here real quick. And here, let me bump up the size a little bit so it's easier to read. So then if we run our tests again, then it should pass, because now we have that set up in there. So then the next thing that we want to do is maybe we want to make sure that our menu has a name. So it should validate presence of name. That should look pretty familiar to you if you're familiar with the Rails validators. Let's do another one here. Should validate uniqueness of name, just to throw stuff in there. You can also do should validate numericality of content. Now this isn't actually strictly correct, because the content is a text field and it can have whatever it wants in there. I mean, that's the way we're going to set it up to be used, so we'll leave that out. But if you had like a price or something, say you broke the menu out into menu items, then you could test the numericality of the price. Let's say that the name of the menu should only contain letters, spaces, and punctuation. Okay, so let's say should not allow values for name, and then we can put things in like it can't have numbers in it. It can't have, I don't know, let's say a % in there either. But it should allow values for name, and then we can give it some examples, like it can have a period in it, it can be parentheses 872, you know. And I think that's good. So, you know, we've given some examples of what should, 872 won't work because we were going alphanumeric. So this is, say, breakfast and lunch. Okay. The other thing we may want to do is we want to make sure that the name of the menu isn't too long, maybe for printing purposes or something, who knows. So, it should ensure length in range, and then we can give it it has to be at least 4 characters and can go up to 100 characters. And finally, let's also say that we want to make sure that it doesn't allow mass assignment on the content. Should not allow mass assignment for content. And really, I think this is interesting because it's very readable. Lots of underscores, but it's very, very readable. So anyway, let's go ahead and run these tests and watch them fail in TDD fashion. And it looks like we have something that's expecting more than one argument here. Let's see. Ensure length and range. Oh, yeah, we need to specify the field name. And yes, I leave the warts in the recording. Okay. I think that's this one. I can never remember if it's of or for. Go figure. There we go. So now we have 6 failures. So what we need to do is we need to come over to our model. Oh, we have it open, right? No, we don't. Okay. So menu.rb. And so we're going to validate presence of name, validates uniqueness of name. I don't know if I can remember all of these. Validates format of name with, and I'm just going to cheat and say that it it should not contain any. So dollar, no, it's hat escape D plus dollar slash. So that's any non-numeric character. And let's go ahead and just see if we got those first couple to pass. So now we have 3 failures only. And you can see here that there's some issues with the tests in the menus controller, but we'll get to that in a minute. So it's looking for an assertion that the length is set, that the contents cannot be mass assigned, and so we'll just put the percent in here. And then we will go ahead and also validates length of name within that range. Nope. 100 is what we set before. Validates, what were the other ones that we need to test? Right. So then we need to add our protected, I think, content. I haven't actually used that in a while, so we'll see if it actually works, but I'm pretty sure that that's the correct syntax for that. Okay, so let's just say that this has to be okay, so here we see that it should allow the name to be dot. I think I just picked some stuff that's just picked some stuff here that you know, could actually be I don't know if you can nest this like this, but we're gonna try it, and if not, I will just take it out since it's not fundamental to the I did mess it up. That needs to be escaped, and then we can run the tests again. And I'm just going to take this out right here. And then we'll modify our test. We'll allow percents because I'm lazy. And this isn't a presentation on regular expressions. So, okay. So now it's expecting it to allow a dot. And I'm just going to be lazy again because I'm not going to figure out the regular expression for that. So we should see now that all of our unit tests are passing, and we can move on to our controller tests or our functional tests. Honestly, I think you should be writing your own functional tests anyway and not relying on the stuff that you get here. I mean, this doesn't really test anything. It just says that, you know, you go to the index page, you get success, and you have some value assigned into menus. Now we're going to do something similar, but we're going to do it with Shoulda. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the context again. The context is the index page in this case. And in here, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're just going to do some setup. And setup is just like before each on your in RSpec. So you get index, you don't pass it anything, and I have to apologize, I have a little bit of a cold, and so you're probably hearing that as I talk. But then what we can do is we can go ahead and we can say it should assign to user. It should respond with success, and you'll see that this is a whole lot like what was going on in the test unit tests. Should render template index, and maybe should not set the flash. Now I have a little bit of an issue with this macro, and the reason is because typically you don't test that some behavior does not occur. You typically want to be testing that a specific behavior does occur. So unless you're running into a bug where you're having the flash set and you're seeing some kind of message being displayed in your page, I probably would just leave this out. The other thing is unless you have sessions set up properly, it may not work. So I'm just going to leave it off, but it's good to know that it's there. So let's go ahead and run our tests again. And we do have one failure, and that's because I said user, I don't know why. But it should be menus that it's assigning. So anyway, you can tell it's a little bit late. I have been staying up late quite a bit lately, but anyway. So 10 tests, 13 assertions, 0 failures, 0 errors. Okay, so now what we're going to do is let's go ahead and say that it should also do something else like should. Well, let's just write a should that does the same thing as should assign to. So it should assign menus. And should is like RSpec's it method. And then what you can do in here is you can do assert not nil assigns menus. And that should work. Again, my inner QA person is not liking the not in the assertion. You should be asserting something else. You should be asserting that something occurs, not that something doesn't occur. But in this case, you're actually asserting that there's a value there. So some other test that you could run could be, for example, you do some setup here where you do like menu.create name. And we have all these restrictions on it now, but A, B, C, D, E, F, G, for example, should pass. And you do this like 3 or 4 times, where you're giving it H and I, so you have 3 of them. And then what you can do is you can actually test here that, assert equals 3. And then you can test that the length is 3. And we should see this pass as well. Assert equal. I think that's really what the problem was. That, and there's no comma here. So let's try that again. You can see the iterations I go through as I figure this stuff out. So, one failure. Looks like index page should assign menus. 3 was expected but was 5. And I'm not sure why. I'm not going to debug it, but you kind of get the general idea. I think some of these others, or maybe our unit tests have set up some instances of menus. So anyway, so that's the general gist of Shoulda. In a later episode, I'll show you how to create a custom macro. It's not that involved, but yeah, I think that's something for another screencast. I do want to give a quick shout out to the brand new Montana Ruby users group. If you live in Montana, or if you want to contribute to a new users group that maybe needs a little bit of experience on the mailing list, go ahead and go to groups.google.com/group/mtrug. And Chris Sund is setting that group up, and hopefully we can get some great Rubyists coming out of there and contributing to the community. And anyway, thanks for coming. And I also want to make a quick announcement, and that is that I've been trying to put out a screencast every week, but things have gotten a little crazy with me moving. My sister got married. We wound up watching her 2 little boys, her fiance husband's 2 little boys, and a whole bunch of other stuff went on. So I apologize for not getting these out every week. I'm going to keep trying to do that, but I promise that I will have one out at least every 2 weeks. And that's about it. So check out our sponsors and go out there and build better code. Thanks. New Relic is the leading provider of application performance management tools for Ruby and Java applications. Thousands of companies use New Relic RPM to monitor, troubleshoot, and optimize applications deployed either in the cloud or in dedicated hosting environments. RPM Lite is free, fully supported, unlimited time version available at www.newrelic.com. All the leading Rails companies use New Relic, including 37 Signals, AT&T Interactive, Shopify, OurStage, IGN, and lots more. Jumpstart Lab offers private and corporate training in Ruby, Rails, and related technologies. They are experienced educators, not just good developers, and will get you going quickly. Courses can be scheduled in the US or around the world, and curriculum customized to meet your needs. Learn more at jumpstartlab.com. This episode is sponsored by ClutterPad, the most awesome online project management and collaboration tool ever. Sign up now at www.clutterpad.com.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
Get him away!
Hey, boo!
Boo!